So you're playing Crowfall and you want to play a ranger, but you really just don't want to play the warden. Everybody's playing it, it's busted, we know. You're looking to still use your bow and still have a lot of fun, but you really don't want to use the warden. This is the build for you. This is the archer build. I've been working on it for a while. If any of this sounds interesting, this is the video for you. We're going to go over everything from the disciplines to the talent tree. We're going to go how I play it, how I came to this build, what kind of trials and tribulations I went through, and essentially how I ended up with this spec, this race, and everything about it. All right, let's get started. So, all right, I am here on my archer build. I've been playing it for a while now, and I just want to tell you before we really get this video kicked off that you can look in the description down below, of course, for the description or for the discount for Crowfall in the description down below. And you can see there's also my Twitch link. You can go over there. We're going to be doing some giveaways this week, so keep an eye out for those. We already gave away a couple things on Monday, and people enjoyed it. They had a lot of fun. And we're gonna be giving away some more stuff, so click the follow button, get over there, get some free stuff. And all right, here's the build. So first, let's go ahead and talk about the talent tree. That's kind of the place I like to start the most, just because that's something that everybody can see, visualize, and it's very easy to understand. So this is my final tree. Now, I talked about we had some trials and tribulations, and I've went through a bunch of different talent trees, races. We went through a lot of different things, and this is what I believe to be the best. Now, I still don't utilize one of these skills very much because it's kind of clunky and doesn't feel really good to use, but we'll talk about that here in a second. We're getting all 4 stat bundles. I've played around with not getting the stat bundles. I've taken away these 2. I've got ankle shots. I've used skullcracker stake. We've tried alertness. We've tried another discipline, but this is kind of where we ended up. That's sort of a typical setup for most builds, which is unfortunate because I was really trying not to. But I was trying to skip here because this is a useless skill. This cross slashes, you're never going to use it. If you're ever actually using this, you're doing this build wrong. So unfortunately, it feels really bad to take a node that we're not going to use, which is the reason why I tried other things. But this node is insane. It gives us 40 dex. The strength is nice too, but 20 con, 6% personal damage modifier, and 350 health. Yes, we get some bleed resistance, we get some strength, but the con, the dex, the personal damage modifier, and the health are huge, and it really just punches harder with this over some of the other things. So yeah, I tried to do some builds without it, but this is the tree we ended up. And if it looks a little weird, we're taking music. We'll talk about that in a second, but it's really fun. I really enjoyed it. We talked about this on stream, and this is kind of the build I settled on. I have a ton of hours on this build at this point. I've been playing the crap out of it lately, and it's been a ton of fun. So let's just kind of go over the talent tree here a little bit. You get your 4 stat bundles, which are typical. We have rapid fire, which we have to take, barrage. We are taking sweep for the disengage, and we'll talk about that here in a second. We're taking cross slash, which I told you we're not really using. We're taking all of our points up here. We have trick shots, which is a good little passive. It makes us to where we can walk at the same speed, even if we're charging a fully charged heavy attack. And it also changes your double shot passive into triple shots, which causes an additional 25%, which is great. And then we have one of my favorite skills is ricochet shot. We'll talk about how to use that here in a second. And then, of course, we have our sure aim and our music. Now, I mentioned this. If you don't sweep, if you don't know, make sure you click on this node right here and really look at what enhancements are on your skills, because if you scroll over sweep and then we look at disengage, it doesn't give us anything new. But if you actually go here and look at each one of your promotion class abilities there, it'll tell you exactly what you have here. You know, we have rapid fire, shoots up to 10 arrows and stacks a critical strike buff for each non-critical hit, which is good. Concussive trap reduces target's personal damage modifier by 10%, and then disengage grants a power damage bonus and a range buff when used, which is really good. And it's a get out of jail free card. It's still kind of clunky to use. I've used it to engage more than I have to disengage. But if you can actually swap to your bar, and I'm actually very proficient at actually swapping your bar, but sometimes it can feel clunky. I don't like to swap to a different bar to get away, because then you're taking some time and you're slowing down to actually swap bars and then do it. But it's still really good, and it provides, if anything, a nice buff when you use it. So that is kind of the talent tree. We're just kind of go over it really briefly, because we're going to go over the skills in depth, and we're going to go over everything essentially. And this is all pretty standard. You've seen this a million times. So next, let's talk about the disciplines that I chose. So I chose Deadeye and Sharpshooter. Now we'll tell you why I like both these. And these are, in my opinion, right now, the only two you can take. First off, we have Deadeye, and we love both of these skills. So we have a multi-shot, which is a knockback. Essentially, I use this for a knockback. We're a kiting build, we're an archer. We don't want anybody to get near us, and this is going to help us do it. Now, you have to really work when you're timing. If they're glowing blue, you don't want to hit them with this. But when you get somebody up on you, you pop them with a multi-shot and push them back. The damage it does, we really don't care. But we use it for the knockback. And then sparring is the big thing here. Sparring increases our basic attack damage by 10%, which is huge, because this build we are mainly going to be holding down our left click and heavy attacking people with a fully charged heavy attack on the bow. Next, we're using Sharpshooter, and I mainly took Sharpshooter for all clear. All clear gives us a damage bonus of 10% when enemies are there's no enemies within 30 meters of you. So this build, you really want to kite, and what better to help you kite than the ability that's right above all clear, and that's Binding Arrow, and it's essentially just a AoE root. Now the range of it is pretty small, or short. It's only 35 meters, where you can get up to 50 meters range on this build. But it's still really good. It's still useful, and I still like the Binding Arrow. It's really good. Anytime somebody gets close to you, you bind them, walk back. Make sure you're not stacking your CCs, because we do have a decent amount of CC on this build. Make sure you're using them properly, which is a very big key. Make sure you're trying to hit them when make them use their ulti, especially like if it's a barbarian where it can CC you. Try to make them use it to break out of CC versus trying to hit you with it. Yeah, but we really wanted all clear. All clear is a great discipline, and this is a way for me to get all clear as a minor discipline, but we have it in the major slot, and getting us a very powerful root. Really good. So next, we're using Hunter, and you might think, Parfax, why would you ever use Hunter when you're an elk? Well, here's the thing. This has an 8-second downtime, and it gives us, what is it, 25 perception. Increase our perception by 25, which increases the range that we can see people. And Gestalt, whatever you pronounce it, only lasts for 15 seconds versus Shadow Alertness lasts for 30 seconds. So you see there's a 38-second cooldown, and it lasts for 30 seconds. We can have our vision up essentially pretty much 100% of the time. Actually, it might be, yeah, it is 100% of the time. So what you do is you'll pop this. We have 30 seconds of it, so we're going 30 seconds. Mind you, we'll have an 8-second cooldown on this when it's over. Then boop, we pop this. Now we have 15 seconds. So now we've already passed this cooldown. And at the end of the 15 seconds, we pop this. We have another 30 seconds, and that's exactly 45 seconds. And this is off cooldown. So we can have perception up at all times, which is great. There's nothing worse than playing against an assassin and having them stealth away. It is the reason why I've really started to love the Hunter discipline. Now, we did at one point go into the tree, and we took Skullcracker Stake into alertness, but we didn't have room for both Flare Arrow and alertness on our bar, and Hunter is actually better than alertness. Now, at face value, you might think they're pretty much exactly the same thing. 25 perception, and we get 50 attack power. This gives 25 perception, 50 attack power, but the cooldown on this is 68 seconds, and it has a 30-second uptime, where this is 38-second cooldown with the 30-second uptime. Plus, when you upgrade this, we actually get movement speed. So what better way to kite than to be faster than your opponent? So once you upgrade your Hunter discipline to legendary, it gives, I believe, 2% movement speed. Now, 2% movement speed is not a lot, so it's not like you're missing out a ton, but this has a lower cooldown, and allows you to really get in there, and you just can have alertness, or your perception can be going at 100% of the time. You can keep it up 100% of the time, which is great. So that's the reason we're going here. And last, we're going Song of Speed. Now, if you want to take another discipline and don't go Song of Speed, you can actually take out of this discipline and you can get another minor if you want. You can get Skullcracker Stake if you really want. Or what I suggest is actually you can go Ankle Shot, but I really love the speed you get from music. The Song of Speed is actually like really good, and I believe you get movement speed with the Song of Speed. So you just get a ton of benefits from the Song of Speed. It's a really fun, and it's just for a minor slot. You don't even have to take a discipline. Honestly, the disciplines here aren't that great. I went through and I looked through them pretty hard. Frost, I don't even know why they gave us Frost. Frost doesn't give me a whole lot other than like Chaos Orb if you for doing sieges. Dark doesn't give you that much, and music gives you Song of Speed, which is really, you know, the reason why we're taking it. So there's not a whole lot here. You can do a music archer. You can do a full music archer. You can play a bunch of songs, help your group out, get song twisting, get even a faster Song of Speed, and that can be really good, but we're going this way. So next we'll go over sort of the rotation and how the skills work. So we do have our headbutt, and this is just going to be a 20-meter dash essentially. We're just going to use it to, oh, sorry, wrong bar. We're going to use it to help kite and just continuously move around. We have rapid fire, which rapid fire can be very useful. It's something I basically train back and forth. You'll get some, it's a good burst damage, but a lot of times what we're going to want to do is we're going to be auto attacking. We're going to be charging up these fully charged auto attacks, and we're going to be hitting people for 1,300, 1,400, 2,000. We're going to be blasting people. Now to our, basically my set of utility skills. The next 4 skills on our bar are essentially our kiting tools. So first we have Ricochet Shot. With this, it does hit multiple targets and it gives you a nice buff, but the big thing about this is the first target it hits, it's going to root. So you want to make sure whatever target you're trying to hit, you want to make sure you root them by hitting them with the direct shot of it. It'll chain and give you a nice big buff. It'll do some damage. It's really good, but you want to make sure that you're hitting it on the target that you're trying to root. Speaking of roots, we have Binding Arrows. Again, it's an AoE root. As you can see here, this is our range for it, but we can actually shoot with what I have currently on. I can shoot up to, I believe, 48 meters. So they do have to be closer to you than that, but the good thing about it is we want to stay over 30 meters away because of our all clear passive, and this will still keep them, you know, in the 40-meter range, or in the outside the 30-meter range. Now what ends up really actually happening is you get a champion on you and you have to shoot it right there. You have to dodge roll this way, maybe headbutt this way, and then start chaining up your shots. That's essentially what ends up happening, but in theory it works well. So next we're going to talk about, we already talked about it, but our multi-shot. This is essentially just a knockback. It's a 15-meter range, so it is your, when they're up close and personal, you just pop them with it, pop them back. This is great for assassins. Assassins will jump on you, and it's essentially my best skill against assassins. Now this next skill, if you're a ranger of any sort, you know this concussive trap, really good. We do get a bonus. We will, let's go here so you can see it again. Concussive trap reduces their personal damage modifier by 10%, which is really good. So essentially what you'll do is you'll charge up your attacks, you'll be attacking them, and then you'll drop down your concussive trap and you want to kite them in there. The one thing that I do a lot is, depending on the way they're actually attacking me, I will move this way and I'll kind of like circle around to make sure they get knocked in that trap. Also, something fun you can kind of do is if they get close to you in the concussive trap, let's say they're right there, you can hit them with your knockback there, and you can actually knock them into the trap, so it'll knock them back and stun them, which is really good. 7, this is a PvE skill. Don't ever use it. It's an arrow. I'll use it to maybe try to pop people out of stealth, but that's about it. This skill kind of sucks. I'll put it like on a rock if they like, if someone we're fighting and they were to go behind that tree, right? Yeah, sometimes I'll just pop it like that, but it's got a short range. Oh, hold on, I didn't hit it. There it is. It's got a shorter range, and it's just not something that I use that often. It doesn't do a ton of damage. It's really a PvE skill, and that's about it. And then next we have our 2 buffs. We talked about them. We're not going to talk about a whole lot more, but just Shadow Alertness and Gestalt. We're going to just rotate these, and we're going to pop people out of stealth with them. And then last, but certainly not least, we have Song of Speed. And this is just going to increase your movement speed by 30% out of combat and 10% while in combat. This is just going to help you kite. This build's a kiting build. Until you get really good gear, you're not going to blow somebody up with this build. So essentially what you want to do is you just want to keep moving, keep kiting, keep CCing, and keep walking backwards. Now, if they're in pretty not great gear and you have a decent bow and they're in like crappy leather, you can still half health them with just like a rapid fire. But you've got to be pretty significantly better geared than them, like your weapon versus their armor. Essentially, you're not going to find too many people unless they're in bad leather or cloth. You're not going to do that yet. Now, eventually you will get to the point when you get a lot of gear that you will be absolutely shredding people with this and will be less reliant on our auto attacks. But right now, we're really going to be relying on our auto attacks. We're going to keep our distance, and we're just going to kite back and absolutely blast people for 2,000 with our auto attacks. It is really, really great. So now we've kind of talked about our skills. While we're talking about our skills, I kind of went over exactly how I play this build. This is a kiting build. We are going to kite. We do a decent damage, but if you go against something like a Fesser, you go against something like Assassin, they can burst you down. So it is very, very, very important that you make sure you kite away. We're using our dodges. Now, if you saw there, I did a video about this, but if you use your charge, the best thing to do is at the very end of the animation, dodge roll, because it'll animation cancel the actual end part of the headbutt into your dodge roll. So you'll just move faster, essentially. I'll show you what I mean here when this comes off cooldown. Got 5 seconds. I'll show you the end part of the animation. You see there where I kind of stopped. If you dodge roll, you don't stop, you just keep moving. So try to make sure you have a dodge roll up whenever you charge so that you can actually animation cancel that. It's really good. All right, so as you can see, I'm an Elkin. So we'll talk about the race now. I've done half elf, I've done wood elf, and I've done Elkin. Most of the clips you see, if not all of them, will actually be on my wood elf. We spent hours and hours and hours farming, or not farming, but killing people yesterday. I had a buddy that just started the game. I had another person that while we were out there, he was leveling an assassin, and he was like, hey, do you mind if we just tag along? I'm like, sure. And we had an absolute blast. We went and we killed a bunch of people. We took outnumbered fights. We did, obviously outnumber a few people, a couple times, but we had an absolute riot. We were running around killing people, and it was a ton of fun. I was essentially running this exact build, except for on a wood elf. You can run wood elf if you want. The only reason why I'm running Elkin is because we are going to increase that cap, which I am not yet when it comes to range bonus. And we get the extra perception, so we can keep it up 100% of the time when we're worried about being ganked, or if we're just trying to find people. Now, if you're just running hunter, you're fine. It rarely does an assassin ever get away, but every once in a while one gets away that I didn't really want them to, because there's an 8-second window where it's not up. So we like that. It's pretty good. You can pick, realistically, I would pick any race other than human. I would not take a human. I do not like humans in anything other than maybe like a knight. It's about the only thing I actually like humans. Maybe a paladin. But even a paladin, I really like Elkin because you can get that extra movement ability, but that's just me. That's the race. You'll probably see, it might be all of my wood elf, but essentially it's the same build. I just swapped up the race today. We tested it out. I played it on stream. Wasn't this exact build. It was a little bit different. I was trying something out. I didn't like it nearly as much as this essential build because you just get a lot of damage from this node down here. This node provides a ton of utility damage. It's really good. I was also running on less health. I decided that putting more points into my damage bonus wasn't really worth it versus my health. So I got essentially almost 2,000 more health than what I was rocking before. So you'll see maybe a little bit of different number there. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this build. There are going to be PvP clips coming up afterwards. I know this part's already 20 minutes long, and there's going to be a couple more minutes of actual PvP action. We had a ton of fun. If there's any class you actually want me to make a video about, if there's a specific promotion you make a video about, Let me know in the comment section down below. I know there's a lot of classes out there in promotions. There's not a lot of information on. There's not a lot of builds on. I know Warden's big. There's a lot of Warden builds, of course. There's Barbarian builds because they're all obviously top tier. But if you want to see a Confessor, maybe a Myrmidon. I haven't really ever played Myrmidon, at least not in a long time. It would take me a little bit to get used to it. Get back there. Stormcaller. I've played a decent amount of Stormcaller. I've played most of the, you know, promotions and classes in the game. So if you want to see me do any builds on any of your, what's your favorite class? There's assassin builds out there too, but if you want to see me do an assassin, let me know in the comment section down below. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Enjoy these PvP clips at the end, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.